Ha, they say that my rise to the top is long overdue. I'm just trying to cop a 3-star Goku suit. Or better yet, a Senketsu that fits over loose. Equipped with a light fiber microphone, my flow the truth. Don't let these haters rule over you like the student council. Cause if they see you making moves, then they'll never doubt you. Keep that scissor blade sharper than a surgeon's scalpel. I'm hungry like a back alley docky and by the mouthful.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Let's Pull the Trigger on a Podcast, the podcast where sisters just fight sometimes. It's what they do, and you gotta let them work it out. I'm Fire Princess Lily, and I am joined, as always, by my good friend, Dr. Sea Monster. Hey, Doc, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing just fine. Had a good week. Just taking it easy right now.
Yeah. You came down with the sickness, right?
Yes. Last week I had some kind of, I think I had like the flu.
Okay, but not the sickness.
No.
Oh, thank goodness, because I know you got tested for it, but I didn't know it came with that.
No, I got like a really bad fever and like kind of messed up. But when I was tested, I tested negative for the corona. So it was just like a light flu.
Nice. Not the Roni.
Not the running. So I'm fine now.
Oh, good. Nice. So what else has been going on?
Let's see. Watched all of Animaniacs.
Nice. What'd you think?
I liked it a lot. I didn't really care for the Russia episode.
Yeah,
I think those jokes fell a little flat, but otherwise it was great.
that was the most 90s that the reboot got, in my opinion.
Yeah. It's like that's really warmed over Russia humor.
Yeah, that's real dated.
No matter how many Putin references to Putin you put in, it's still dated. Still dated.
Yeah. What else?
Oh, let's see. Got some writing done that I wanted to get taken care of. I'm finished with work for the year.
Nice.
Well, that means no more getting paid until like February, but you know.
Oh, less nice.
But you know, it's good to have a little bit of extra time off.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry for yawning. What else is going on?
Not much. How's everything for you?
Oh, all right then. Everything's been good. We took a couple weeks off, partially because I think I was just giving you time to rest and to like come forward and say, yeah, let's continue, because I was worried you had the Roni. I was like, I did not want to bug you with the podcast, and so did that. Also because the one week we didn't record, there was just a bunch of wrestling that weekend, and I did not have the time. I could have, not watched wrestling, but it's me. I'm going to watch wrestling, and there was just too much of it. Like, not only did Impact have, like, a pay-per-view that weekend, AAA had a pay-per-view that weekend, and New Japan Pro Wrestling had a pay-per-view that weekend. There was just so much wrestling, and I didn't even watch it all. There was just too much of it. I did watch Impact and AAA, and both those shows were good. Apparently, it's not a AAA show unless you fear for somebody's health and safety. So we had a real AAA show. Jesus. It's my first time ever watching AAA. It's good wrestling. Really liked Mr. Iguana, and he was the person I was worried about because at the end of his match, it was like a 3-on-3. At the end of his match, all three opponents ran and jumping kicked him in the head to win the match, and it was like, wow, that is a lot. They had to take him out of the ring on a stretcher, which is maybe part of the match, also maybe not. So but he's okay apparently, so hey, everything's fine. Other than that, wrestling's just been crazy because, as mentioned in a previous podcast, Kenny Omega is doing stuff with Impact Wrestling despite being the AEW champion, including attacking the Impact champion Rick Swann right on TV, and they've signed a main event match for their next pay-per-view for Impact where Kenny will be teaming up with the Good Brothers against Rick Swan and the Motor City Machine Guns for the main event of that pay-per-view, which is insane. It's insane because wrestling promotions have never worked together this closely in over 20 years. So, crazy. Other than that, not to like bore y'all with too much wrestling, because I mean, wrestling is just fun. You know, I really think that people should watch it. Like give it more of a chance, I guess, because you have to go in watching wrestling realizing that it's over the top on purpose. And
Yeah.
because if you take it seriously, if you take it super seriously, of course it feels ridiculous. Like, and there are people who think that wrestling should be super duper, super serious thing. And some wrestling is. But for the most part, it's an over the top soap opera that just has a lot of physicality. And I enjoy it a lot. People at AEW, the actual promotion, are angry at Jim Ross, one of the commentators, because, you know, he has a way that he feels that wrestling should be. And, you know, I get that he's a legend, and even the voice of my childhood when I think about wrestling, I think about Jim Ross, I think about Tony Schiavone. Which AEW both has, so it's just like, you know, a nostalgia kick in my brain. But Jim Ross maybe doesn't need to be on commentary. And that is going to be a controversial statement to anybody who listens to this who really enjoys Jim Ross. Jim Ross, I mean, other than just like he is stuck in an era of wrestling that just like that's not the style anymore, you know? He also just he cannot stop being horny on mic. And that's real detrimental to like say the women's division when he's like, you know, making comments about like their bodies and how attractive they are, etc. And that's just weird. It's weird.
I agree.
You're an old man, dude. Like, no. A lot of people give him a pass for that. They're like, oh, but his wife died. He's a sad old lonely man. And I'm like, I don't care. Get Tinder. Get you know, go on some dates at the bingo hall, my dude. Do not be on national TV talking about a woman's tits. I think I'm not crazy in saying that shouldn't be a thing. But he said a controversial statement because he doesn't like a particular wrestling spot. There's a spot in wrestling where a bunch of guys will be on the outside and they'll all be kind of grouped together, and then somebody from the ring will dive onto the pile of guys. And JR doesn't like that spot. A lot of people actually don't much care for that spot. I am not one of those people. I am indifferent to that spot. It is what it is, right? It's obvious that they're there to like catch the guy diving, and I'd rather they be there and catch the guy than something go wrong and somebody gets hurt. So he talks about that spot on because JR has his very own very popular wrestling podcast. He talks about how stupid that spot is, how he doesn't like how wrestling has changed because certain moves like the super kick and the DDT, those used to be finishers. Now they're like match transitioners and they don't finish anybody anymore. And he's like, I don't like that. I don't think that's evolution. I mean, what are you saying about the old guys and they just like they couldn't take so much that they were weak or something? It's like, no, man. It's just wrestling's changed. The style has changed. And so people in the back at AEW are like, man, we really like that JR calls our matches because, you know, we listened to him as kids. We all did. But it sucks that he goes out there like on his like podcast and like buries us.
Yeah.
To his audience. That's not cool. We don't like that. So, you know, I don't know if anything will come of that, or how that's gonna, you know, transition. As far as like JR being on commentary, he'll probably still be on commentary. I don't know if this means that people are gonna be doing less divey spots, which, you know, whatever. There are times when I really enjoy a dive, and there are times that I don't. But I don't think that people should have to change their wrestling style because one old man doesn't get it. Like, if you got hired to do a job, right? You got hired to do a job, and you were doing it, and you were trained to do it a certain way, and you were doing that, and then some old dude in your department, or not even in your department, just like a different department that sort of works with yours, right? And they were
Yeah.
like, and they came up to you like, man, the way you do that is fucking stupid. Like, you wouldn't, you wouldn't appreciate that, right?
I would not.
That's not constructive criticism. That's just somebody being an asshole. And that's kind of what's happening, or what did happen, because that's what he said. He's like, it's fucking stupid. In my mind, like, you can tell somebody you don't like the spot, but you can be like, hey, instead of doing this, maybe try doing that, and like really set your match apart. Like, there's a positive way to talk about how you don't like that spot without being a dickbag. So that's the current wrestling controversy. And yeah, yeah. So, because that's the thing. Like, these guys were doing dives and stuff. That's the way they were trained to wrestle. They're just doing the way they were taught to do it, and they're they come outside their comfort zones and they do like their like mat wrestling and stuff. Which is crazy because anytime, like, let's say Jake Hager, who sucks, starts, is in the ring and he's doing mat wrestling, JR is more than happy to talk about he's using what brought him to the dance, because that's how Jake Hager was trained. But he won't do the same for these other guys, and it fucking sucks. All right. So now that I've rambled on about wrestling for a bit, there's not really like a lot of new animation recently. They have the Animaniacs. We already watched that. We talked about Adventure Time Distant Lands already, like a couple weeks ago. So there's really not a lot to talk about on, like, the animation front. I just have not been watching a lot of things. I've just been
There's nothing really new out right now.
yeah. So I mean, other than anime, but I need to catch up on stuff. I need to catch up on a lot of stuff. It's just, and you'd think I'd have the time, and I do have the time. I just don't know where it goes. So yeah. So let's talk about Kill la Kill, if that's all right.
I'd love to.
This week we watched episode 21, Incomplete, and it is quite the episode. If I sound tired, it's because I woke up because I put my alarm. I canceled my alarm instead of snoozing it, so I overslept. So here we go. We are opening on a white screen, and it just cuts in on Ryoko's face, and so we get just like Ragyo and Nui are talking to Ryoko about, like, how do you like being in Junketsu's embrace, and Ryoko's like, I had no idea, like, it was like this, and they're like saying a bunch of it's not a good scene because they're all naked. They're all naked.
So this first scene's pretty creepy. It's more, sexual assaultish from Ragyo.
Yeah.
But this time it's under mind control, which makes it kind of worse.
Yeah.
I have heard from some sources this sequence is like symbolic or an illusion from the mind control of Junketsu, but I really can't confirm that. But that is an interpretation some people have taken.
They are free to take that interpretation. It's not. So, Ragyo says that only Ryoko and her can experience, like, a Kamui's power to this extent because Nui's life fiber body, like, repels other life fibers, so she can't draw on the powers of, like, Junketsu or Senketsu. It's only something that Ryoko can feel because she's, like, 100% life fibers. So this scene's a lot. So Ragyo explains that humans like exist to serve clothing, and life fibers are the pinnacle of all human life forms. Of all life forms, I don't know why I said human life forms, but they're like, "Come on, Ryoko, hurry up and show me. Let's see what you look like at your finest." And there's just a lot of like finger movements, but she transforms using Junketsu, and she gets like the cool pantsuit.
Yeah.
And this is when whatever this girl's name is, I can't remember her name. She's such a side character. Her assistant. Yeah. She's like, "Hey, lady, Ragyo, Satsuki escaped." And Ryoko's like, "What?" And Ragyo's like, "Go ahead, go deal with her." And they're like, "Yeah, we're gonna go deal with her." Nui's like, "Do you still want to avenge your father's death?" And that's when Ryoko kisses Nui, which is something I had actually forgotten about, and pushes her away.
I have not forgotten about this because I have a friend who cosplayed Dewey, and she was worried that after seeing this scene, she was worried about Ryuko cosplayers being too forward.
Well, I mean that's a thing to worry about. I mean, hopefully nobody was.
No, it never happened. But
Yeah,
she told me she was concerned about it.
that's because generally women have a better sense of boundaries than men do.
Yeah.
Uh, anyway, Ryoko
Um.
says, "Oh, go ahead. Sorry."
No, go ahead.
Oh, Ryoko says that was for luck, and then she blasts away.
So about this kiss, though, like in the context of the show, I mentioned on our last episode that Ryoko isn't really acting out of character while controlled by Junketsu.
Yep.
It's more like she's feral and kind of acting on instinct and impulse.
Yes.
And her first impulse in the situation is to kiss a girl.
Absolutely, because
Ryuko is
she's
Ryuko Ryuko is gay. Ryuko is gay as hell.
what?
I'm not
No,
saying
come
I'm
on.
not saying look, I'm not saying it's a sexy or romantic scene at all. She's still under mind control, but
Yeah.
she's not a drone. My point is she's still making her own decisions. Now, I said on our last episode that this episode has the two gayest scenes in the entire series. This is one, and I'll talk about the other one when we get to it.
I don't know. I think Ryoko's like the straightest girl. The straightest. Sorry.
Straight
Anyway, straight like a circle. Um.
I haven't heard that one before. It's a good one.
Anyway, they're like, "Oh, she still can't keep her emotions in check."
Yeah.
But they're talking about like how much like technique she has for somebody with not a lot of experience, and yeah, and Ragyo's like, yeah, whenever life fibers are like threatened, they get like even stronger. Like not even my dumb dead husband could have like sealed it all away. So it's just child's play to reawaken her by making her experience intense existential terror, which Ragyo sucks
She does.
continuously. She's like, "Hey, could you have all our employees gather at Revox, please? I'm going to return to the mansion. We're fast approaching the in-game Nui." And Nui's like, "Yeah, my heart is pounding. I'd better work fast then." And that's when we get the title sequence. Skip that. So then we cut back to where we last left off. Ryoko on the ship, looking down at Satsuki. Satsuki is wearing Senketsu, and Satsuki's like, "To think you were my little sister." Ryoko's like, "Yeah, don't get all fucking sisterly on me right now." She's like, "I don't have any attention to." She's like, "I'm gonna crush anybody who comes a puppet to life fibers, no matter who they are." And she's like, "Come on, Senketsu, let's begin." And we get a transformation sequence for Satsuki for Senketsu. And I guess maybe because Satsuki isn't composed of any life fibers at all, she doesn't get any kind of difference in outfit the way that Ryoko does for Junketsu. It's like the same as what Ryoko normally looks like.
Yeah.
Everybody's watching. They're like, all right, we're going to go support Lady Satsuki, says the Elite Four. When Mako busts in, she's like, no, you're not. She's like, I have a message from the Elite Four from Lady Satsuki. Don't get involved, basically, is what it all boils down to. And that's when the two of them start fighting, Satsuki and Ryuko. We're getting dogs barking. Yes. So, Ryuko notices that Satsuki is using the two pieces of the Bakuzan, and she's like, oh, you can't let something go, something that your mother smashed? So, talk about clingy, which is a weird line to me. She's like, it's not clinginess, it's vengeance. Even if it's smashed into a million pieces, if a single fragment remains, the whole can be reconstituted. These two blades protect me so lovingly by the Elite Four, are the symbol of my tenacity and purpose towards the victory of Satsuki Kirin and the Hinoji Academy. Like, Satsuki, like, this whole show is very dramatic.
I had noticed.
So she goes to attack Ryuko, and Ryuko, like, basically swipes her to the side. And she's like... And Ryoko's like, your actions talk louder than your words ever could. You couldn't even control Junketsu properly. You're not going to be able to summon that knockoff's powers. Where did my... One second. There we go. My mouse died. There we go, we're back. Anyway, she's like, you're not going to be able to summon that knockoff's powers. And Satsuki's like, so you think I'm all talk? Then I'll have to prove to you. Senketsu. And she has Senketsu transform into, like, the blade mode. And she attacks Ryuko. She's like... And then she transforms into, like, the flying ship mode. And Ryuko's like, how dare you? She's like, yeah, we're only getting started. And she transforms into the blade flying mode and attacks Ryuko, like, full on. And, like, a whirling, like, light show. It's pretty cool. They're going to destroy the ship.
Oh, yeah.
Nui is fastening together some kind of rope. We cut over to Nui, who's putting something together using robots and thread, and then we cut back to the fight. It's very quick. Ryuko says, oh, I guess you're not that useless after all, to which Senketsu says, hey, take off Junketsu, put me back on, please. Like, you're acting insane. And Ryuko's like, no, as if I'd stoop so low to ever looking that ridiculous ever again. Those pauldrons say that you still look ridiculous. But Junketsu's like, I look ridiculous? Do you really mean that? She's like, yeah, damn straight. Why else would I call you but ridiculous? What else would I call you but ridiculous? When you can't even tell me... Sorry. I'm trying to keep up. What ridiculous? Well, you couldn't call... Well, you can't even tell if you're wearing anything. There we go. To access the life fiber's power while at the same time... there's just a lot here. There's a ton of lot here. She's basically insulting Senketsu. Satsuki is like saying that, explaining life fibers and how, like, she should be considered a genius for being able to control life fibers, even though she doesn't have any in her. And there's just, like, a lot of scenes on top of scenes. That's a lot.
Like, I really don't have any jokes, because this is just one of the best fights in the series, and I got nothing to say.
Yeah.
It's not the kind of thing you can really explain.
Not really. But they just keep piling scenes on top of scenes to make, like, there's a box here explaining something, and then a new box pops up on top of that, with the old box still being on another. They just keep doing this until, like, they're cutting to flashbacks of Ryuko and Senketsu. And Satsuki is explaining, when you used to wear Senketsu, You guys were working together, and it was pretty cool. But now you're just being warned by Genketsu. You're being controlled. This is not cool at all. To which Ryuko says, "What's wrong with that? Being warned by it feels so amazing. I can't stand it. Humanity was born to be warned by life fibers. Being warned by them is the ultimate bliss." She is totally gone at this point. Satsuki says that. Yeah. Satsuki says that's the bliss of slavery. And Ryuko says, if you have a problem with it, well, then you're welcome to die. Once again, we just get scenes on top of scenes. And finally, one scene comes over all the others, pushes it out. And once again, Satsuki has Senketsu transformed to the blade mode, which Ryuko just destroys all the blades. And she's like, hey, come on, don't hold back. And Ryoko's like, okay, I get it now. I know what's happening. You haven't properly mastered wearing that kamui. He's making up for everything for you. She tries to transform into the flying mode, but Ryuko just like catches her and stops her via hand. Just grabs her, throws her to the ground, and is basically beating the shit out of Satsuki at this point.
Ryuko sells nothing.
Ryuko is just a no-sell. She's like, what, you can't keep up? It's because I can see through all your moves. And so she starts beating up Satsuki. She's like, synchronization my ass. You and Senketsu ain't synchronized at all. You shout out your instructions to Senketsu, and he uses his own strength to make those transformations. You're the one who's just being warned by her kamui. You haven't advanced one damn bit since the time you wore Genketsu. And Satsuki is getting just the kick cracked out of her. And she's like, what's the matter? Aren't you going to look down on me like you always do? If you can't stand to look up stand on your own, how about I pull you up on your feet? And she's just manhandling her sister pretty badly. She's like, you're just a sad little princess standing on top of a castle. The instant the waves come crashing, that castle comes crumbling down. And Satsuki's like, stop it. All right, I admit Satsuki cannot hear me when I speak. Our synchronization is makeshift as well, and yet our hearts are one. We are of one mind in our desire to bring you back. And she's like, shut up. Can you imagine how much of a strain Senketsu is bearing? She's like, no, Ryuko says shut up, but Satsuki says, can you imagine how much of a strain Senketsu is bearing to let me fight? No other human could do that. No one but Satsuki Kirin. And he's like, so what? Oh, no, wait. I guess it was Senketsu saying all that stuff. I'm sorry. I'm still tired. But Ryoko's like, so what? It doesn't change the fact that she's a loser. And she just uses her sister blade to hit Satsuki away. And she's like, I'm so sick of hearing your yammering. I want to chop up both you and... that's when there's an explosion. Nanan's on the scene. She's got missiles. She's like, don't you dare mock Satsuki. Satsuki's sandcastle is made of steel. It won't collapse that easily.
Because Ray's pissed.
Yeah. Gosh, these dogs. She fires a bunch of missiles. Ryuko just knocks them all away, and that's when Sakiyama comes out of like the smoke, and he's using knives. Stop. He's using knives to fight against Ryuko, who is not at all phased. She's keeping up with him. I was trying to talk sense to her too, but she's like, could you quit pissing me off? What do you think you can do with that little knife? As she slashes, he jumps away, and that's when all the ship's cannons are fucking pointed right at her face. And Imamuda's like, what can he do? Lure you into my firing range, I suppose. And he hits a button. And they all fire. And it appears Ryoko's been caught in the blast as there's just a huge wave of fire and gunpowder just going across the ship. But Ryuko stands tall. She doesn't sell anything. She's like, do you think that would do anything to Genketsu? And they're like, no. But it did allow Gamagori to get close. And he's right behind her. And he has his arm cannon thing to like rip people out of light fiber monsters. He's like, I want to rip Genketsu right off you. And he tries. And Ryoko's like, Satsuki, you bitch, was this your plan all along? And she's like, indeed. Senketsu and I cannot defeat you in your current state. However, if I give the Elite Four a fighting chance, it is possible. And Ryoko's like, son of a bitch. They're like, everybody's like, yeah, our plan is going like properly. This is great.
About here, see,
yeah, go ahead.
About here, Satsuki's got a great line in the dub.
Mm-hmm.
It's my modus operandi, idiot. They usually watch the dub with the subs on, but
Right.
and the differences are not the differences aren't stark. But again, they have a little bit of fun with the dub, and there's some great lines in it.
Yeah. Mizutsuki says, I can't believe that Satsuki proposed a coordinated operation with the Elite Four. This is crazy. But what is surprising most of all is that you were able to accurately relay such a convoluted message, Mako. She's like, well, she wrote it on my hands. And she shows off. It's pretty good. It's like, wow, that girl thinks everything. So we cut back over to them trying to rip Genketsu off. And she's like, I can't believe you'd use yourself as bait. And Satsuki's like, I would do anything to win. Did you forget? That's my modus operandi. And Gamagori's like, all right, now we're going to pull Genketsu off you and make you come back to your senses. And he's trying, and that's when it gets jammed. She's like, why can't I separate them? And Satsuki's like, oh my god, run, Gamagori, get out of here. And Nui appears and just busts up the thing to pull off life fiber creatures. And she's got Ryuko. And like, Nui, Harui. That's when the Mohawk guy starts shooting needles at them. And Nui is always just animated in like the most stop motion-y way possible.
Yeah, like paper cutouts.
Like paper cutouts. And she's like, Ryuko will never be able to take off Genketsu. And they're like, why not? And she's like, Genketsu's life fibers are so tightly linked with the ones inside of Ryoko's body. Which is terrible. If you try to pull Genketsu off, they'll snap and she'll die. They're like, what? Why you? And they're like, so the camo's been stitched to her body. And Mako's like, that's so mean. That sucks. And she runs back, and then she dives down the chutes that launch people. And she now Mako is on the scene.
Mako is started being on the sidelines.
Yep. We cut over to the Revox capital, and they're like, as excess of our, and it's just like it's a meeting between like all the employees. It's not very, I mean, it's just saying that there's like 100% Revox saturation throughout the world. It's not, in my opinion, not very important. It's, I don't know why they did it.
Remember, there's life fibers in Reef Fox clothing.
Yeah, I know. They're just talking about life fibers being spread throughout all of humanity. I get it, right?
Yeah.
It feels like this is a weird place to put this scene. Like, you're getting all this action and all this, like, cool dialogue about, like, Ryoko's situation, and now Nui's on the scene, and Mako's flying in, like, tensions are up and ramping up. And then you just, like, kind of cut in with this. It feels like a weird break.
Yeah.
Like you came up to a stop sign you weren't expecting.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, Ragyo's like, congratulations, ladies and gentlemen. Life fibers has spread throughout all of humanity. Now I ask you to perform one last task for me. And there's a bunch of Revox monsters, or covers monsters, life fiber monsters, whatever you want to call them. And they just lift up all the employees and eat them. And I don't know if what this assistant person is made out of, if she's a life fiber person too or whatever. But you would think eventually that her time would like come up, and maybe it does. Maybe I'm just not remembering. Um,
It kind of does.
so we'll see. And we cut over to where the original life fiber is, where it's been remained sleeping until keeping it safe has been the duty of the curing clan for whoever knows how long, and it's ready to like, bust off and do its shit. Sasuke's like, I'm sorry, Ragyo's like, I'm grateful to the time allowed that for I'm grateful to time for allowing that the family had to be me. Wow, that's a weird line. Because I was able to witness the amazing event that is about to transpire with my own two eyes. And the life fiber is moving like the original life fiber is moving. And she's like, the beginning of the cocoon sphere birth that will soon make this world the life fibers is beginning. And all her butlers and stuff are like, oh, congratulations. They're like, hey, do you and the others want to take part? And he's like, may we? She's like, yes. And all the servants get willingly eaten by life fiber creatures, which is some weird vor.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It's a little.
the original life fiber becomes a spaceship, which still feels weird. And Ragyo is riding on top of it. She's like, all right, now let us be off to where it all began.
Okay, she's not just riding on top of it, though. She's standing on a little napkin on the primordial life fiber.
Yes.
And that has always amused me, and I don't know why. I don't know why. I don't know why. I know it's supposed to be a joke, but I don't know why it's that funny to me.
Right. No, I get you. So we cut back over to the fight, and Ryuko is back on the attack, and she's just blowing everybody away. And she fires off her pauldrons, which allows her to get close to Satsuki and destroy Senketsu. And that's when Mako leaps into the middle of it. Well, she tries. Ryuko dodges. And
Ryuko always dodges Mako.
Yep, and she just hits the deck full on. It's pretty good. Well, Mako gives one of her passionate Mako speeches, which is, I understand why you're angry, Ryuko. I mean, if you can't take that outfit off, you can't take a bath or wash yourself. Ugh, that sucks. And you can't get dressed up for a date. But even so, it doesn't mean that it's okay to go on a rampage like this. And Ryuko's like, what are you talking about? Because Mako has no idea. Gamagori's like, Mako, run. This isn't the Matoi you used to know. And she's like, Ryuko is always Ryuko. Even if you got life fibers inside you, even if you're mad that you're not human, you're still Ryuko. And Senketsu is your Sunday best, same as always. And she gets right into Mako's face. I'm sorry, into Ryoko's face, and Ryoko's just like, whoa. Nui says that girl is such a pest. I'm gonna murder her now. Senketsu, who got stripped off of Satsuki, says Mako and charges in between Nui and Mako and just knocks her out of the way in such a way that her clothes start coming off and she gets inside Junketsu. I'm sorry, and Senketsu.
Now Mako is wearing Senketsu.
Yes, exactly. And Senketsu says, I'm taking your blood. Just don't pass out from blood loss, okay? Nui says, I hate girls who try too hard by wearing clothes that just don't suit them. So it's so pathetic. It makes my skin crawl. Once again, the Mohawk guy is shooting at Nui from behind. She's like, no, that will not work. And she just knocks him off the side and into the sea, which is fine with me. Satsuki, now wearing the nudist beach outfit, is trying to take on Nui head to head. And she's like, you still haven't figured it out, have you? No ordinary human can beat me. And Satsuki responds with, sorry. Perhaps, but the blade of my heart isn't broken just yet. Which is a great line. Nui says, you're so stubborn. And she goes to attack. And she's like, I'm telling you that Ryuko belongs to Lady Ragyo. And they are kind of evenly matched. As they, like, argue back and forth. Like, you know, we'll see about that. Oh, you're just trying to appeal to her feelings, too. It'll never work. You've gotten soft, Satsuki. It's like, it's because I believe that it's because of you that I believe it is possible to turn the tables. Sorry, there's just a lot of words. And it was like, because of me. She's like, yes, you. If Ryuko Matoya is truly gone forever, to your side, body and soul, why haven't you given her that scissor blade? And it was like, that blade is the ultimate weapon to fight against life fibers. The reason you still carry it is because you still harbor doubts about her loyalties. And that unnecessary uncertainty is where our victory lies. And Nui gets angry. She's like, your agitation has made me more convinced than ever. I will be victorious. And that's when the three members of the Elite Four charge in, and Nui, like, rolls away. And they're like, leave Nui to us. Go see about Ryuko. You are our hope. And she's like, I'm counting on you. And Nui calls out, Ryuko, destroy her, along with Senketsu. That's what Lady Ragyo wants too. Give these softies with their hope nonsense a dose of cold, hard reality. And Ryuko says, you got it. That's when Mako's family gets in the way, and she's like, move it. And they're like, stop it, Ryuko. This isn't okay. And they're like, she's like, you're protecting that woman? And like, I will protect Mako, but I will protect you too, Ryuko. If I'm not mistaken, it's the father talking. She's like, yes, if you kill Mako here, the one who would be hurt most of all would be you. Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry, it's Senketsu talking. And he's talking about how he's protecting Mako because he understands how much she really cares for Mako. And he's like, that's why I won't allow you to lay a hand on her. But she's like, what? It's because you've been selfish that Senketsu is being warned by me, says Mako. Isn't that right? The Ryuko I know of couldn't handle that, so hurry up and get changed, okay? She's like, God, your voice is so annoying. And she goes to, like, she raises her arm for attack, but that's when Satsuki leaps in, jams the two halves of her Bakuzan into, like, the middle chest piece and pries it apart. And she yells, now, jam Senketsu into the wound.
Satsuki has a plan. Satsuki always has a plan.
Yes. Mako screams. It's like, Senketsu, use your strength to shake Ryuko's life fibers loose from Junketsu. And they're like, right, on it. And Senketsu, like, wraps up Mako's body like a snake, and then, like, projects off her arm. He's like, Ryuko, I'm coming. I'm going to force myself onto you. Which, terrible line. Mako says, learn the power of the Sunday best. And she, like, punches Ryuko with Senketsu and goes inside of her with him. It's a whole thing.
Yeah, like Senketsu and Mako both get dragged into into like the jumble of Ryuko wearing junkets.
Yes. So,
Hello?
yeah, I'm here. So we kept
Yeah.
back on this scene of Ryoko getting married, with all the life fibers like holding it tight. And there's a banging at the door now. And it bangs so hard that it knocks a handle off of the door. Knocks the handle off the door and knocks over the groom. And it's Mako. She's like, Ryoko, we're here to bring you home. And Ryoko pulls out the scissor blade. She's like, I'll kill anyone who ruins my happiness. It's like, this isn't happiness. Not even close. This isn't you, Ryoko. She's like, shut your mouth. And she tries to smack Mako away. But her and Senketsu grip tightly to Ryoko. She's like, snap out of it, Ryoko. And she's like, shut up. And she keeps trying to like knock Mako away, but Mako just keeps bouncing back and latching onto her. She's like, dummy, 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 go ahead and kill me. If you're so intent on staying cooped up in here, kill me and give up on being my Ryoko. Which is possibly the second gayest, or the most gay thing that happens in this episode. Am I correct?
Okay. Let's just talk about the scene for a second.
Sure.
The mind control Ryuko is under is visualized as a heterosexual wedding.
Yep.
The person who disrupts this entire scene is Mako.
Yep.
Mako is just begging Ryuko to be true to herself and to come back with her.
Yep.
I mean, this isn't even subtext. This is just text.
This
is literally what's happening on the screen. This entire series is gay, and this is the gayest shit in the entire goddamn run of episodes. And honestly, it always makes me cry.
Aw, it's very good.
I give you cry every time.
So, Ryoko actually brings the blade down on Mako. And a bunch of blood comes out, but it's from Senketsu, who's protecting Mako. And Ryoko's like, makes a face like of just like shock and anger and terror. And blood covers the scene. Which is a lot.
Yeah.
It slowly fades to black. And then there's a lightning bolt from the ship. And a powerful wave of lights and waves. And a star field is just exploding out of Ryoko in like waves. And everybody's getting caught up into it. And it stops. And Ryoko's standing there. She's breathing hard in Junketsu. Everybody's like, oh my god, a toy. And Nui says, whoops, looks like they failed to win her over. Oh well, Ryoko, let's sink this tub. That's when Nui changes the scissor blade to like a weird chakram scythe thing. It's pretty cool. But as she's about to strike, the red scissor blade goes right through her and pins her to the ship. And she's like, what? And Ryoko's back, baby. She's like, give your crap a rest. And she's like, impossible. She's like, how dare you bastards put me into this outfit? And everybody's shouting Ryoko's name. She's like, I'm tired of all of this. I just want it off. And she's like ripping it off of her body. Everybody says Ryoko's name except for Nananan, who says transfer student. Which is it's very intense. There's lots of blood just spilling out onto the deck. And they're like, stop it. If you tear it off, you'll die. She's like, I'd rather be dead than never have to take this off. I'll take it off even if I die. And she rips it off. There's a bunch of blood, just a rain of blood. There's more blood than is possible in the human body. And she's like, I did it. I won't be... Oh, she's like, because if I don't, I'll never be able to wear Senketsu again. Ba-ba-bum. She's back, y'all. And that's how the episode ends.
Ryuko finally regains her senses and is back to normal. I mean, if that's not the power of love, giving her the strength to finally break free of mind control, I don't fucking know what is.
No, it totally is.
Ryuko has found her way.
She lost her way. Now she's found her way. It's all good now.
Yeah.
A fun episode. Lots going on at all times. It's almost hard to keep up with. But real good. I enjoy it. So other than the fact that that episode makes you cry, what are your thoughts on it?
It's great. This is a great episode. I like the whole thing. The fight scenes are great. The character stuff is great. The jokes are on point. This is like the big peak before the 3 episodes or so that make up the finale. Like the next episode we get is a little bit more of a breather, but just barely before we get all back into the action. I don't know what to tell you. It's like Kill la Kill is consistently good. This is a great episode.
Yeah, agreed.
It's not as much of a personal favorite as like some of the scenes in Osaka or the tournament arc, but it's still really, really good.
Yes, that's about what I'm doing. Yeah. So I think that's it. I think that's it for this week because I don't have much more to add to that. It's fun. It's good. It's very gay.
It's gay as hell.
So gay.
It is super hell gay.
It's so gay we're going to super hell. But according to Supernatural is where you go when you're gay, so was that not the joke you were going for?
That was.
Okay, cool. So hey Doc.
I love Supernatural. I've not seen a single episode of Supernatural. I don't know which one is Sam. I don't know which one is Dean. But man, has that show been the gift that keeps on giving since the finale. It's been great.
It's been great. Except for it's not great because, queer baiting. The car made it to heaven. Castiel didn't make it to heaven because he's gay. But the car did.
Apparently there's a throwaway line in the last episode that yes, he did get to heaven later.
Oh yeah, they went and saved him, but they don't show him.
No, he doesn't get half the the actual ending. The actual last episode is just a god awful train wreck, even more so than the rest of the series.
Yeah.
It's a whole thing that we don't have time to get into here.
Really don't. Anyway, Doc, where can people find you if they want to talk to you about stuff?
I am on Twitter way too much. I'm at Dr. C Monster. That is at DRC Monster. Come and find me on Twitter where you can see me. Hope to be the first person to ask, is that the human pet guy?
What?
Okay, so there's a person on Tumblr and Twitter called the Cybersmith. He has really bad, vaguely conservative, online right-ish takes. He's not like a Nazi, but he is definitely in that kind of right-leaning intellectual dark. He's one of those right-leaning intellectual dark web types.
So he's a Nazi. Okay. If you're a little bit of a Nazi, you're just a Nazi.
Well, he never actually says Nazi type shit. He's just sort of a shithead.
I mean, if he dog whistles,
I don't know. I don't actually follow him that closely. It's not like a person. It's not like a person I follow. But he just pops up and comments on people's things. But the thing is, he's very infamous for having bad takes. And he's also infamous for being into some weird sexual shit, like human pet play. Mm-hmm. So whenever he comments on a post on Tumblr or Twitter, someone else always like the person who like he commented on responds and like dunks on him, but then another person almost always inevitably comes on and responds to them, says, "Hey, is that the human pet guy?" And it always is. So yes, this person is so well known for being a stupid weirdo that there is a catchphrase associated with him, which is people asking, "Is that the human pet guy?"
Nice.
I desperately hope to be the person who gets to ask that as the first reply someday. It's my greatest personal ambition.
Hold on to your dreams. You can find me, as always, at Twitter at DatFirePrincess, spelled D-A-T. You can find me on my numerous podcasts I do, including this week, me and World Eater Viv are going to be guest hosting a podcast on a called the Retro Fanfic Retrospective. Oof, I just cannot say words today. We're going to be reading a Ranma fanfic and giving our thoughts. Which
Cool.
Me and Viv still haven't read, and we're supposed to record that late on Monday, so we'll see how that goes. We've been told we don't have to finish it, so it's just like a jumping off point. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I've just been busy. Yeah. But, yeah, that's everything from me. And I don't think Doc has anything else to plug.
No.
So,
not really.
Until next time, don't lose your way.
Don't lose your way.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Ha, they say that my rise to the top is long overdue. I'm just trying to cop a 3-star Goku suit. A better yet a Senketsu that fits over loose. Equipped with a life fiber microphone, my flow the truth. Don't let these haters rule over you like the student council. Cause if they see you making moves, then they'll never doubt you. Keep that scissor blade sharper than a surgeon's scalpel. I'm hungry like a back alley docky and by the mouthful. I'm not trying to be 1 star like most artists.